Okay, well, hello to you, viewer from across the tubes. I am Gnarly Quack, although my friends and enemies call me Carl, and I am coming to you live from the shores of beautiful Lake Michigan. And today, once again, I am going to be coding on Dr. Strangetest, my testing framework for PHP. And I left off the stream yesterday wondering, what am I going to do today? And I suppose the logical answer to that question is we should probably finish up what I've been working on. Because while I made quite a bit of progress yesterday, I still not actually finished sort of the overarching task that I was setting out to do. So yesterday I managed to figure out how to generate optimized diffs for values that only differed by key. And then I also went in and basically managed to take care of properly accounting for whether or not we should take into account array keys if we're doing a comparison, and then whether or not to format them. So essentially for lists, we can generally optimize away not having to take into account array keys. But what is still left is creating or generating a proper diff. So if we're doing a less than or greater than comparison. So maybe let me just jump into the code here and pull up my notes just to maybe make it marginally more clear what I'm talking about. So we have I have my diff notes here. So essentially what sort of motivated this whole thing was, again, to recap kind of the last week of streams here, was PHP allows greater than or less than comparisons between arbitrary types, not just scalars like numbers or strings, but you can also compare objects and arrays to each other or to other scalars. And while in general those comparisons don't mean anything, especially for arrays, it basically does kind of like a sequence comparison where it sort of treats each element of the array as a significant digit and then compares those arrays in sequence to see, okay, which one of these is less than or greater. But it also means that for the comparison assertion that we have in the framework, or also just for generating diffs in general, we need to be able to handle comparing greater than or less than against arbitrary types, not just scalars like strings and numbers. So my solution to that, or my thinking about that, was, well, there's already a diff function or diff algorithm in the framework, so maybe we can just extend that. And we have, I think, pretty much everything taken care of except for this last part. So I have these notes here just to kind of work through what I would expect a diff for a greater than or less than comparison to look like. And this is what we would like to have, and we're pretty close, but what we still have going on here is, right, so we expect one to be, and I've fooled around with this, so I just need to make sure this still passes, but we expect actual to be greater than greater than or equal than expected, and then well, this is actually not right. So like I said, I was sort of fooling around with this, and I can't remember what the original comparison was. But this is actually okay, because 1 and 1, we are allowed to have an equal here, but 3 is not greater or equal to 500. So this is what's actually causing the diff to fail. But right, if we keep going, we also see that 2 is less than 10. So what we're getting right now is this. But if we know changing this won't actually make the diff, we can change any of these numbers to anything they want to be, and this comparison is still going to fail because 3 is less than 500. So this is sort of this last bit is finding out kind of, okay, when do we need to stop checking whether we need to keep checking whether things are equal or unequal. So I think my goal today, and we'll see how things go, of course. My goal today, I think, is to knock this out, which I believe is my last sort of piece of functionality. And then I have one additional to do in the code here, where this is sort of just a testing thing, which obviously needs to be done, but we're kind of getting these non-compact diffs for this sort of one edge case. And I may also try and knock that out. and it's kind of I don't know how much I care about it at the moment because it's kind of a minor formatting issue in my opinion. But since we're already in the code, it might be worth just trying to take care of it. But also, I also kind of want to make sure this isn't a symptom of something more sinister going on. Something's not working the way we want it to be. And I don't, so kind of have to see how things go. I don't have unlimited time today. I have some things going on tonight. So I have a feeling this has a chance to pull me down into the muck again, assuming what I'm about to do doesn't already. So we'll see if we can get to that. And then with that, I believe if I can get these two things done today, we will essentially be, as far as I can tell, unless I think of something else, well, I guess I can always go through and start optimizing the actual algorithm. There's really no optimization going on. But I feel like maybe coming back to that, I don't think this will have significant impact to the code, but one never knows, I suppose. But to finish my original sentence, I believe then I'll actually be feature complete on what I want the diff algorithm to do. And then maybe this weekend or next week, because my weekend is actually looking a little busy, maybe just go through here or go through the diff file where everything's implemented and just kind of start cleaning that up because there's a lot of gnarliness in there right now. So let me get some actual code open now. And I do have a few notes. And let me take a look at those real quick. And actually, let me just make sure we're in a good state here. I believe we are. I think we committed everything and pushed everything up to GitHub yesterday. Looks like it. And we're still in the correct branch and everything. Yeah. Okay. So I guess since we're in a clean state, I suppose the first thing I want to take a look at, and I'll just bump that out there, is the split line first function. So where am I using that? This is basically here where we're generating and optimizing the generation of a diff for values that only differ by key, because in that case we don't actually need to do a diff. We can just print the value and then indicate that the key is different. But in order to do that, I actually need to pull off the first line of the formatted value and then sort of stick the key on there and then indicate that we've added, basically indicate that we've switched the key, but then the rest of the value we can just print out essentially. And I basically have these assertions in here saying, hey, okay, we should never have a case where, you know, we basically don't have more or less than 2 lines, right? We should always have a new line in there. And I think that at least we can assume based on, right, if it was a scalar value, if it's a single line string, really what we're caring about is scalar values, which is, for our purposes, any sort of Boolean or number or single line string. If it's a multi-line string, we actually split that string up into different lines and then do a diff on that string, so you can see which individual lines changed. But since this diff function is, well, this isn't the actual entry point. Here is the entry point. But since I have this labeled as an API, I don't actually have any guarantees about what sort of data is being passed in here. So I don't think I can just assume that there's like a reasonable string here. I think I can assume that there's at least, right, 1 new line in there. But for instance, I can't assume that the string isn't something weird like, you know, like new line, new line, new line, hello, you know? New line, new line, new line. So these assertions I don't think are what we really want. And now that I'm thinking about this, I don't know that it actually matters. So I just want to play around with this for a little bit and see what it looks like. And maybe a starting point here is, well, let's just yank that string and maybe like format it and see what we get. So let's go into test, I don't know, test format variable, format strings maybe? I guess I'm including, so let's just add a function here, a public function test formats goofy string. And our string is going to be this here. And assert and then we have strange, oops, well, actual I guess is going to be, it's not a format variable string, and then we want to assert identical actual, and I want this to intentionally fail, so let's just throw that in there and come back here and see what that looks like. Okay, so we got seems like there's not should be that many dashes or slashes in there. But we've got the slash to open the for this first string. Then we've got all these empty lines, and we got hello, and then we've got this, which it's a little weird to me that, oh, you know what? That's because this test is bogus. I guess what we wanted is just that. So there, that's exactly what we expected. So now if we stick this in an array, so let's just throw some goofiness in here. I'm not even sure I can spell goofiness correctly. So we're going to have so let's just try that. And I half suspect, actually, this is going to break from an assertion failure. Oh, well, or I'll have a parse error because I don't know how to set an array key. And define. Goofiness is correct. Goofiness is correct. Oh, wow, this is... I may just need to take a break right away. Oh, but we didn't, okay, so we didn't have... Oh, because this is also exactly what we don't want. Sometimes half the battle's trying to figure out what it is you're trying to test. So I have a feeling that was not the failed assertion I was expecting. Well, I guess there's nothing for it but to go take a look at what's going on there. What did I... Okay, nothing actually changed in there. So why does from not have... Let's just get the class of from. Let's see what we're failing on there. Assertion error string test. It's not loose. One might argue that's not a bad thing, but anyway. I'll try and avoid any syntax errors. So, okay, well, in trying to do that, I found a bug, so that was valuable testing there. So what is going on here? We are comparing two strings that are in a dictionary. I mean, I'm inclined to just go slap loose into string, but I want to make sure I'm actually identifying kind of the root problem going on here. So if we've gotten this far, just a real quick kind of walk through this. If we have a full match, nothing changed, we just do a copy. If there is nothing in common between the two variables, which is, or the two values, I guess, which is indicated by a longest common subsequence of 0, then it's just an insert the new value, delete the old. And so yeah, insert the new, delete the old. Otherwise, the only way we don't have a full match and our longest common subsequence is greater than 0, is we have a composite value where something in that value matched. So we've got two strings and there's something in common with those strings, which is what we have here, right? We have two multi-line strings, and I should qualify that. This is a multi-line string. This only applies to a multi-line string. Well, not really. Well, yes, it would. Kind of makes me think. Well, anyway, not to distract myself. We have two multi-line strings that have some lines in common. We have two arrays that have some elements in common, or we have two objects that are of the same type or the same class, and at least one of their properties is in common. So if we get down here, so if we have match partial, it means these two, from and to, are sitting in an array or an object. Actually, I wonder if I'm handling this correctly for an object. Well, anyway, but it means these two things are sitting in an array. I suppose for an object it doesn't matter, but it would be interesting to check that. So we have these two things sitting in an array, and maybe the key shifted or something, which is exactly, right, this is exactly what our test is here. Where is it? Right here. And so we don't actually need to generate a difference between these two strings. We just need to say, hey, the keys are different. So I guess the solution here is we need to throw loose in here. Although loose would never, right? loose doesn't apply here. So where are we actually, so we don't need to throw loose in there. What line was that assertion failure on? 1209. I feel like I'm not on 1209. There we are. So where are we actually, where do we need loose? We need it there. We need it there. That's it. So I guess I just need to move this down. Well, let's see what happens. I think if I just delete that, PHP stand is not going to be happy. Correct. And I suppose if I'd actually just change this to an instance of check, instance of okay. Or wait, did I get that right? Yes. If it's an array, or if from instance of an object, and I guess somehow I managed to not actually, not only did I not make the change I wanted to make, I didn't make the change I was trying to make. Let's see if that makes PHP stand happy. It does. So still not getting I would have expected to. Oh, I guess this would never happen, right? Because we're formatting it, because we're already handing this to the formatted, we're already handing the formatted string here. Right, we're always going to have, right, because when we format this, where is the, right, that string is always going to start with that, whatever you call it, apostrophe. So, yes, we're fine there. We're fine. Okay, well, good to know. So I wonder if this goofy string test is telling us anything useful at this point. And what change did I make here? I made that. I guess every change I made here was somewhat reasonable. Which I guess I can confirm by just looking. Yeah. So I'm inclined to just rip out that test. Although I guess it was useful because it found a bug for us. So maybe, right, the fact that I put in a test here that failed probably means I should keep this in here. Like, that ended up, not for the reasons we expected to be, but that actually ended up being useful because it tracked down an error in our logic there. I guess. Did it really? I mean, it was. It less tracked down an error in a logic than just track down jank in the code. Right, there was nothing actually wrong there other than this wrong assertion. So you know what? I'm leaving the goofiness out of the test here, I guess. Is what I'm my final answer. And where are we here? Oop. Okay. So let me just look at my notes. So split line first is fine. Split line first is fine. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to look at before getting into this too deeply is, well, function diff. I just want to be sure how we're formatting, we're handling the formatting and classification of the array correctly. Although, right, what did I just say? I wanted to, not just, but sorry, I'm throwing a note into my notes here. I just want to say test handling of identical strings and different object keys. You know what? Instead of typing that note, let's type the test, because as long as we're messing around there, so public function test more goofiness. So we're gonna have object1 equals too bad I so string equals and then object2 is going to be, I'm a little bit curious, I believe they should be object1 is a object1 of object1 is an instance of the class. They're basically the same class. I almost wonder if I should throw this in util. And let's see if we get there. So they did assert true in being same because they're standard classes. I guess we don't strictly know if the optimization took place. Let's maybe just echo that out. Optimizing diff for matching values with different keys. Just curious to see if that's working the way you expect it to. Yes, we are. Okay, so that's dope. And I guess, again, we can get rid of the goofiness here. Okay, so we don't need to wonder about that. We just did it. Okay, so what was my thought before I started typing that? Oh, making sure, seeing how we're formatting arrays, and if we're doing that correctly. So just to kind of recap here, so we get the type of comparison we're doing. This is the actual function that generates the difference. And then we need to process those values so we can actually do a difference on them. But if we are doing a loose comparison, basically anything other than equality with three equal signs, and I guess that's not a common. That is, but anyway. Then PHP does not take into account the order of array keys. It just makes sure the two arrays have the same keys and that the values of those keys are the same. So in order to generate a sensible diff, right here, okay, so then we go ahead and we key sort that array. And then after that point, we determine if it's a list. And actually, you know what? While I'm down here, is list equals is list, and key equals plus previous index. I suppose I should just check that. Okay. I was inspired by the array is list shim I yanked yesterday. I suppose there's a question whether this is more sensible than just writing an if statement, but all right, so where was I? So then as we iterate through each value, we try to determine if this is a list. And what was my other concern here? So yes, we are sorting arrays before determining whether they're a list. And it looks like we are doing that correctly for loose and strict comparison. But I also wanted to test, so I only tested sort of the PHP operators for straight up arrays or lists. So I want to do array 1 equals, so let's go foo equals 1 and bar equals 2. And then array 2, I guess these are technically dictionaries, but whatever, is bar equals 3 and foo equals 1. And so much like I did before, if these are considering these by element value, then we have, right, we have 1, 2, because we're going to do, I guess we're going to do var export array 1 less than array 2. So if we're doing this by element order, we have 1, 2 less than 3, 1, which goes to true. But if we're doing this in key order, or by key, we have, so bar comes before foo, so we have 3, 1 less than 2, 1, which is going to be false. And I believe we should get false out of this. Or a syntax error because I didn't put this in a comment. And that's still not a comment. There we go. Let's try this again. Wow, I had the hardest time typing in array 2 there. Like, not only did I type it wrong, but I like forgot the $sign or something, and then trying to add it, I deleted the less than operator. Well, so that's, wait a minute. So let me just make sure I have correct understanding here of what's going on. That was not what I expected, I'm not going to lie. So then we have 1, 2, this is going to be 1, 0. This is, I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so I am... Am I just being incredibly... Oh, so if we're going by element order, we would expect... I guess we would expect this to be true. We're getting the same answer. That won't make a difference. This... Wait, let's theoretically have the same arrays here. So this is bar 2 equals in foo 1. And this is foo 1. Right, theoretically, this is the same array. I'm not foo's 1 bars 2. No difference. So I am... Yeah, I think I'm just being incredibly dumb. So if we're going in element order, 1 and 2 is less than 3 and 1, which is true. If we're going by, right, 2 sorts before, so 2, right, yeah, okay. 2 sorts before 1, or bar sorts before foo, so 2 is 1 goes to 3, 1, which is true. So I set up a, this is not what this was not the use case I wanted. I wanted one where if it does it a different way, I think we probably confirmed what I wanted to be sure, but I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. So what did I do here? If that's 1, 2, right, and this is also 1, if we're going by element order, if we're going by key order, it's 1, 2 is less than 3, 1. If we're going by element order, it's 3, 1 is less than 2, 1. So let's say if we're going by element order, 1, 2 is less than 3, 1. If we're going by key order, 2 is less than 1, 3 is less than, no, 1, 2 is less than 1, 3, which is true. So what I want to show, I did, well, either I did this check before wrong, or I just can't, now I can't figure out what I did the last time. So if we go, what happens if we swap these? So if we're going by element order, 1, 3, less than 1, 2, it's false. But if we're going by key order, then 1, 3 is less than 1, 2 is false. Oh, wait, this is right. 1, 3 less than, this is true. Boy, I was not expecting this to be the struggle it has turned into. Okay, so this is element order. I suppose I should leave a note here. Element order. Key order. So if we're doing element order, array 3 is 1, 3. Array 4 is 2, 1. So is 1, 3 less than 2, 1? Yes, 1 is less than 3. This comparison is done. If we're going key order, then is 1, 3 less than 1, 2? No, because 1 and 1 are equal, and 3 is greater than 2. All right. So this is what we expected. Key order. All right, now let's see if we can sort this mess out up here. Element order, key order. And I think I just need to do the same thing. So element order is 1, 3 less than 2, 1. It is, right? 1 is less than 2. If we're going key order, it's 3, 1. Because bar sorts before foo, is 3, 1 less than 2, 1? No, because 3, wait. Yeah, 3, 1, so let's evaluate that. Okay, and let's just make sure that's consistent back to .3. All right, now the scanners, who cares? It's 5.1, who cares? Probably because I don't have a new line at the end of the file or something, who knows? All right, so we have managed to extract some sort of knowledge out of that process, I guess. So we're... Okay, so regardless of what we're dealing with, if this is a loose search, we want to sort the keys. So it looks like everything here is doing exactly what we want it to do. All right, and because I feel paranoid now with all of that, I'm gonna run the tests, and I think my coffee empty, as well as my water glass, it may be time to just take a short break, splash some water in my face after that nonsense with eval.org, trying to figure out the order of this stuff, and then maybe dive into it, because at this point, the work that needs to be done is in this build diff, which I guess I should just call up. And maybe I'll just rename this to build diff, but we have the state coming in here, because I think what essentially is happening now, there's going to be 3 paths here. There's going to be, are we doing identical equality? comparison, in which case, right, do what we've always been doing. Or are we doing a less than, then do something else? Or are we doing a greater than, then do something else? And it's not clear to me. We can maybe parameterize less than or greater than. We'll have to see once I dig into it, because these are my diff notes. We want to handle that a different way. We only, as this note here is showing, we only need to go up until we find the first opposite comparison fail. So that is what I'm going to do. I am going to take a small break. Let's save my. Let me update my notes here. We've confirmed we're good on array sorting. Okay. So actually, let me just. Alright, I guess I'll give myself about 4 minutes. I suspect I'll only be about 3, but anyway, there you go. Okay, back in a few minutes. Well, that was a quick 4 minutes, I guess. um, I guess from like a certain perspective, it's better to be wrong and get the wrong answer than to be wrong and get the right answer, because then you know you're wrong and you can go figure out why you're wrong. I guess what's a little bit frustrating with that whole fighting with getting the right comparison is I was pretty sure I knew what the right answer was. I just couldn't ask the right question to confirm that I had the right answer. And I guess that's kind of what was going on in my test. That's been the theme of the day, trying to get the right answer but asking the wrong questions. So I don't know. But we're trudging forward, I suppose. So we're back here in build diff from edit. Right, we have, let me just make sure I actually, for some reason I get paranoid that I'm sitting here in the wrong scene or with my mic turned off or something. And it's always better to check, I suppose. So I guess if state comparison equals was it diff compare identical, or state compare equals oh, I don't have this. I keep wanting to. I think it's just diff equal, right? Let me go look. Yeah, diff identical and diff then we want to do what we've always been doing. Else if well, yank, we actually want to yank to the end of the line there. So let's just handle greater and greater equal. And I guess we can maybe throw this in an assertion. That means I don't have enough there. That means I have one too many there. I have one too many there, I think. One. Yeah, okay. Which probably means if is screwed up too. No, I somehow got if right and everything else wrong. Okay, so not sure we actually need the edit in this case. That's all right. So essentially, while let me think about this for a second now. Yeah, I think we can just do so. Well, f equals 0, 2 equals 0. Hey, hey, Basen Stieldieb? Is that German? How are you? I hope I'm saying that right. equals count from. I took it in high school, German that is, and while I have forgotten most of it, I try not to butcher it as badly as I could. But unfortunately, I don't speak a lot of German here in the U.S., so much of it has degraded. So I think this will work. It's all relative, I suppose. I also tried to learn Japanese because I was living in Japan, and it's less, I guess, that language is complicated, but there's not like between English and German, there are some similarities that you could sort of fall back on, like dog and Hund, I guess. Like Hund is hound, so okay, that makes sense. But when you're learning a non, I guess, European language as a European, it's like, okay, there's nothing in common between these two languages. But then again, English is nice because you just have the. And I remember the one time visiting German in high school, or visiting Germany, and I think I was actually in McDonald's, and they had like a McRib sandwich, and I'm like, I don't know what the gender of a McRib sandwich is. Like, is it so? So when you're trying to get the right der die or das, my brain was totally shorting out on me because in English you just say the all the time. So I think I said Das McRib sandwich or something. I don't know. They figured out what I wanted, so I got it. So mission accomplished. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is iterate through all the values of from and to and see so if from I guess this is value. And I suppose because I got this sitting in an object, I'm going to have that's a function call. To, and this is right, since this is greater or less than this is loose comparison. So here's a difference here. In a diff greater, an equality is not okay, and greater equal equality is okay. And so I guess I could just do, if this is equal, what am I doing here? Must have already been editing in there. So if state const equals namespace diff greater, that was my O key. Maybe all right. So we want to insert value I guess we're inserting to and this is show key. and we're deleting value. Otherwise, we just want to copy the value. We're going to copy, what are we going to do? We're going to copy from, which actually means we're going to delete from. And I suppose since so this is going to start to get a little dicey here, but that's why we're doing this. Actually, we don't want the max, we want the min. Okay, let me. I do not. I used to be a software developer, and then I got out of the industry. Just the company I was working at basically kind of downsized and laid me off, and I was a little bit burnt out, and had some other interests that I wanted to try. And that was hospitality. So I was in hospitality kind of up through the pandemic, and then with my experience going through the pandemic, I got out of that industry. Well, I hope to get out of it. I'm no longer in it, but I don't have another job yet, so I'm hoping to get back into software development. I guess that's a long answer. The short answer is I currently don't do software development as my job, but I used to. So let me think about this. So if I think I need two conditions here. If from I is greater than 2I, how about you? Are you in software development, Basin? Then we're going to copy this. Oh, okay. Are you interested in it if you're hanging out in the software and development channel? I'm assuming you are. Oh, okay. Yeah, Python is definitely uh, it seems like an extremely popular language these days. PHP is still up there, I feel like, because it powers a lot of the web. So I think something like 70 or 80% of websites run on PHP. I do know Python. So my only professional experience is with PHP, but also like databases and JavaScript. I haven't worked. I know Python pretty well, but I've never programmed professionally in it. Yeah, it's got a bad rap. And I suppose part of that is the language. If you know at all the history of PHP, it was basically somebody made it as it used to mean personal homepage, and it was just somebody's little project to add some sort of dynamic HTML generation capability. So it wasn't meant to be a programming language. So that's its origins. It was just a set of tools to sort of like query database, and then it got popular and turned into a programming language. So it's very much an organically evolving programming language. Where Python, I guess, is more was started as a programming language. And there's a lot of silliness in PHP. I don't deny that, but I feel like any language has a lot of silliness in it. So yeah, any language you need to be aware of kind of the corner cases that trip you up because they all have them. Oh no, I haven't. So it actually it's like Python that compiles the JavaScript. That kind of sounds like, or I guess transpiles would be the technical term. Yeah, PHP is very much. It's also more of a, even though it has the capability of being a general purpose programming language like Python. It's kind of much more, I guess, niche to like web server environments because that was its origin, and so usually it runs in like a web server. So it's sort of optimized or kind of meant to be like a server, like a web server scripting language. You could almost think of it as. Although I'm not right, this is a command line program, so it does have the capability to kind of run general purpose programs, but I wouldn't write like a GUI program in PHP, that's for sure. You could do that with Python. I'm not sure it's a good idea, but you could. But I've also much more, as I say in my profile, even though I was doing like web development sort of in my professional job, my experience or my interests are much more sort of lower level programming at this point, kind of like call it like systems programming. But since PHP is just the language I'm most familiar with, although I've been using a lot more C lately, I kind of decided to just work on this project and finish it up and maybe just stream to kind of see, just kind of build some confidence in my programming skills, I guess. Okay, so what we want to do here is, so we want to get the minimum of from and to, and then iterate up through min. And if from is greater than 2, which matches the condition here, we just copy. If from is equal to 2, oh, and I guess this needs to be value. So it might be worth just pulling out the values. If it's a strictly greater, then this is a insert delete. Otherwise, this is a copy. Otherwise, we have a less than, and that's going to break us out of this loop. Oh, and I forgot to change this. Okay, so now while I is less than min, and from I is, so we're doing greater is less than 2i value then we basically want to do this. And then finally, well, we want to increment I, and then while I less than min, we want to copy the value. And then this is going to be gnarly. But that's right, we're just trying to get this to work for now. And I suppose I should increment I again here. Except this is going to be, so that was what? Greater, so this should be less and less equal. So that means, well, this is less. Copy the value, then all this is equal. So I think that will do it. What line is that on? 1608. I guess I need to close this while loop, which I assume means this while loop will be broken. Wow, all right. Yeah, HTML and CSS aren't really, yeah, they're not really programming languages. They're just, well, it's a markup language, so it's just, it's kind of like adding, with HTML, it's basically like adding formatting information to whatever the text is you're using it in. It's not really, HTML purists will argue with me with that because it's not supposed to be formatting information, it's supposed to be semantic information, and that's what the style sheets are supposed to do, is provide information on how to format the semantics added by HTML. So yeah, programming is very much different, I would say. But what if you're learning Python, you probably know that. Yeah, HTML and CSS are not really, I would say, programming. More sort of design stuff, I guess. But yeah, you won't, if you're looking to be like a general purpose programmer or something, you won't get very far with just HTML and CSS. All right, let's see what some of these errors are here. $15.87. Oh, I need to pass in state diff state diff, state diff. Oh, and I suppose I need to position. Okay, well let's where are we here? Greater. I need to put in, okay, the diff. Yes, okay. So let's see if that gets us a little farther. True. Wait, so what am I, oh, that should not be, oh, this should be less equal. Oh, less. Good catch there, PHP Stan. And of course, because I'm generating my diffs in reverse, all of this is going to be backwards. Well, let us see what we have here. For test, do I have my assertions open? I do. So line 9, 934. So let's see what we actually got. So we actually got 5, 2, 5, minus 500, 3, and then 1. This is what we actually got. What were we, so is this basically 5, 2? So it's the exact opposite of what we got. So that makes things a little tricky. So the reason why I'm building my difference backwards is, just for a little context here, to generate a diff, you make this matrix basically, and then you slide backwards from basically from the end of the two things you're trying to compare. You slide backwards to figure out how to do the from to. So you end up basically end up reconstructing everything from the back forward. But in this case, because, well, the logic is different, I am working forward to back. So I guess I want to, what that means is I can maybe build a local array here. Diff equals array. Let's just try this out. So I guess our last step here. So now we've built, well, except now we need to swap delete, insert, delete, insert, delete, and insert. And then our next step here is for I equals count diff minus 1. I greater than equals 0 minus minus I. State diff equals diff I. Basically, that's what I think that's going to look like. And we should still get a bunch of test failures, but the diff should now at least be in the correct order. Yes. Oh, wow. A database. Oh, so sort of like a kind of like a personal address book. I guess his sister must be a programmer then, huh? Or she wasn't, and that's why he needs a new address book. All right, so how many failed assertion, failed tests do I have? 6. So this all makes sense now. That makes sense. That's exactly what we want. This is what? Assert, well, it tells less or equal. So assert less is, right, in this case, 1 is no good, 500 is no good, and 5 is, right, this is assert less. Oh, right, oops. So this one I think we're going to run into problems with. Oh, right, that's right. We can stop here. Time is, I need to keep my eye on. Okay, so now we are actually getting correct diffs, but now we need to do some more formatting to, right, this is all going to be, I think. Yeah. And this is what? Array greater or equal. So that is fine. That is fine. Right. Just 2. 537. This is array greater. So five. This is, I think they're saying. So that's fine. That's fine. I think. And 504. Yeah. Okay. Eh. The Stack Overflow homepage, the actual homepage, I can't say that I have. I usually end up there through Google. Oh, wow. Okay. No, I can't say I've actually ever seen that before. Well, I don't. I hate to burst your bubble Stack Overflow, but I do not have a tab open as Stack Overflow. So, do you want some thoughts on like I mean, I can just give you some general oops. Um like I think that project working on that app for your dad, I think is a great idea. Right. The only way to get good at programming is to program, and that's that's one of the reasons I'm doing this project is especially tackling things that I don't know, like creating a difference algorithm. I mean, I this is not the algorithm has been in here for a while, so but at the time I made it, I had no idea how to do it, and so now since doing it, like I've extended it. But the point being, right, as you start to work on these programs, you'll encounter problems and then figure out how to solve them, and that's really how you become a better programmer. And I would also sort of encourage, I don't know, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew, but using, I guess, maybe also because I've watched, right, like Jonathan Blow, who streams on Twitch, and Handmade Hero. Um, Using libraries is useful if it's maybe more than you want to bite off, more than you want to deal with, but at the same time, that's also really how you start to learn stuff too, is if you start implementing your own things from scratch. So I guess I'm kind of rambling, but the short of it is I think that's a great project to do because, even like I wouldn't say go write a GUI from scratch or anything or write your own database. I wouldn't say anything like that, but building that application is a great way to learn. And then especially if you sort of take the time to make it sort of full featured or hunting out all the bugs. And then there's two ways you can go with that too, actually. And I think both would be useful. The first way is to just start from scratch, and then make it match the features it currently has, whatever your sister did, or take her code and if there's something specifically wrong with it, figure out how to work with her code. Because especially, if you're interested in becoming like a professional software developer, I think most of the code you're probably going to work with is code that's already been written by someone else. So being able to write your own code is obviously very useful, but I think what's even harder sometimes is being able to figure out or to read somebody else's code and figure out what that code is doing. Especially if it's like, I don't know, like if your sister wrote it or your dad's, I guess that would be your aunt. If she wrote it like when she was young or a student or whatever, it may not be code she would write today. I guess is what I'm saying. So those are both very useful. And it might be easier to start. Well, I don't know what would be easier. It might be easier to start from scratch and then maybe use her code as a reference. But yeah, and that's also a good way to go because, if writing code that somebody else uses that you can get feedback on, um, something that, if your dad is using it, right, you'll get feedback and that's great. So, another option is to write something that you yourself are going to use every day. Um, and so I feel like a lot of people that are trying to get into programming, they're like, what project should I work on? And I'm sort of like, well, I don't know. Find a piece. I mean, I don't get asked this, but you see this in like Reddit and stuff. It's like, find a piece of software that you use, but there's something about it you don't really like, and try writing your own version. Um, so yeah, I don't know if any of that was helpful or useful feedback, but I would say go for it. So where am I now? I guess I've got what I was trying to do working. And another great thing about that too, I would say, is even right if you still have to go through university or whatever, right, then you can point to like a portfolio of work you've done. So you can say, hey, look, here's code that I've written. So, and especially now with like free hosting, like free host software hosting with GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever you want to use. Um, I think just throwing stuff up there, even if it's not necessarily a finished project, is a good idea just so you have code to be like, yeah, this is stuff I've poked around with. I've started putting some stuff up there, not because it's on my repositories, not because it's code I would actually tell anybody to use, but it's maybe something I was trying to figure out, and I sort of scratched that itch to the point where, okay, I understand this now. So if I was actually going to use this for something, if I was actually going to use this in real code, this is not even close to being ready to use, but this is me sort of figuring out how this works. And here's kind of my work, showing my work on what I did. So yeah, work on some projects, throw it up on the GitHub or something, and I guess that would be my advice if you're looking for it. Sorry, I got my fan on and paper's blowing around. Yeah. Or even if it's something you come back to, you can be like, hey, I dealt with this problem once. What did I learn, from when I was messing around with it? Well, if you're using Python, I would probably just use because it ships with SQLite. So that would be and SQLite. That's kind of what it's meant for. Is just like a local database. So if you're interested in learning, especially like how databases work or SQL, like that's a great way to go. And it's nice that it ships out of the box. And I mean, you can do anything you want really with SQLite these days. But also maybe with the size of your project, you know, uh, saving stuff to text files isn't necessarily a bad thing either. There's sort of different trade-offs, right? If you want to learn if you want to learn SQL and how to use a database, SQLite is a good way to go. If you want to learn how to write your own, I guess, serialization formats, like how to save stuff to a file and then read it back, then saving to a text file is a good way to go. So it depends on your objectives, I guess, is what I would say. Both can be useful. So I think I decided all my tests are passing. But there's one there. Okay, so the case I'm not handling right now is arrays of unequal length, which I don't even know what PHP does with that. So let's clear out these old examples. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is a useful comparison there? I guess maybe 3, 4. And the question here is, how does PHP consider these? Because it can sort of look at this as, right, the two options are, it can look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4, in which case array 2 would be bigger, or it could look at this as sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 3, 4, in which case array 1 would be bigger. So I think the answer is going to be, so in this case, is 1 less than 2? In this case, this is false. And in this case, wait. Well, these would both be false, right? No, in this case, 1 would be less than 2, because 1 is less than 3, right? So I have a feeling the answer is still going to be false. Where we're saying basically 1,234 is not less than 34. All right. Let me just make sure that's consistent. No worries, Bazin. I guess as long as I can understand you, it's getting the job done. And also, I don't know if this is the case in German. I suspect it is, but there's, at least with like English, it's I don't know what you would call it, a study or statistic, where if the first and last letters of a word are correct, then it almost doesn't matter what. I guess it needs to use the correct letters need to be in the word. I don't remember, but it's basically if the first and last letters of a word are correct, it almost doesn't matter what the rest of the letters in. Like, we can figure out the context of like what is trying to be said. So I don't know if that's like kind of exclusive to English, or maybe alphabets that use whatever our alphabet is called. But so anyway, yeah, no worries. The short of it is, don't worry about the typing mistakes. So I guess I want two cases there. I wanna test. I want to do this test, and I guess I want to do the opposite test. So I guess I'll nick this. Where do I want this test? Now I wonder if I test this with equal and identical. Test reason for failure. Test provided message. No, I don't actually. Okay, so let's first get this passing for test. Oh, I guess this is test assert greater. Test arrays of different length. Well, that accomplished absolutely nothing that I was trying to do. Where am I here? Or did it? Did it, and it's just there's so much white? No? Uh-oh. No, don't execute. Okay, I guess I'm typing this in manually. Which is not a big deal. If I can figure out the right tabs now. Oh, yeah. I made that comment because I've been watching some of the VODs just to try and be a little bit better of a speaker. And I noticed there are many times where I'm talking and when my mic turns on, there's like sirens wailing in the background. And I feel like there was one time it was like a 5-minute stretch where every time I talked there was a siren going on. And it's like, yeah, I mean, not that there's always sirens going on here. I don't want to paint the wrong picture, but it's kind of funny sometimes. Like you just start to tune that stuff out. Okay, so array 1 equals array 1. Oh, what's going on here? Why does this think I'm not in code? What did I, uh-oh. All right. Well, trying to paste stuff really screwed up the editor, so I guess we're quitting out a new event. Okay, so I don't actually know why that didn't work, but let's just see where my oh yeah, it's like whatever you get used to hearing all the time, you kind of end up just tuning out. So what is my example here? So what is, where am I in? Test. Test assert greater. So, and this condition was less, so this will actually pass. So this will be, well, I guess Well, maybe I'll just save these to variables so I can kind of easily use this for. So array 1, so that should pass, right? Just quick. Oh, array 2. Okay, so that should pass. Test array greater than smaller array. I guess it's kind of that case. And on the flip side, it would be less than greater array. So if I basically flip these two, I'm going to get a failure. But we're not getting why this is failing. So let's generate what our expected failure is, what we want to get. So we're comparing array 2. Oops. And then we expect, so what are we expecting here? We're expecting I guess we're expecting why is this not? I don't know why that wasn't. So actual was we expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Right, is this what we're saying? So minimum is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's what we're saying. Oh. Yes, I do mostly program. Well, yeah, I do. I'm doing it just as a hobby, but I'm also doing it. Well, yes, I don't professionally program, but I'm kind of working on these projects as a way to sort of prepare myself for interviews or just to kind of build up a portfolio. Because I'm not working right now. I was in hospitality, but with the pandemic, I guess I decided I was through with that and wanted to get back into software development. And so this is just kind of me sort of trying to brush up my skills and get a little bit more confident with my skills. So I feel a little bit better going into interviews and stuff. And streaming, I guess, is part of, well, hey, watching other people, having other people watch me program, it'll make it less stressful. Hopefully having like interviewers watch me program or having them in the room as I'm working through coding projects. But also I'm doing it to try and be able to speak a little bit, be a little bit, because I'm not a great speaker, I feel like, and just be able to talk a little bit, be a little bit better about talking about talking through my problem, or not my problems, but what I'm thinking, what I'm working on, my thought process in terms of writing a piece of code. So that's, yeah, that's sort of the purpose of the stream, I guess. And it's a little bit, you're kind of the first person that's hung out and chatted with me, so sort of up until now, it's just kind of me talking through my code, and I've got all the VODs up, and sort of it's almost been more of a if you want to learn how to code a testing framework, you can watch it. But if I'm interacting with chat, that'll sort of change that a little bit. So I'm, it's I don't have like solid plans for what my stream is going to be or anything. It's kind of as if I start to get viewers or people in chat, I'll have to figure out what I want that to look like. So yeah, I guess that might have been a longer answer than you were looking for, but yeah. Okay, so I think what we're saying here then build diff all right, so if we are here in build diff, I think that means, right, we are only building a diff because we failed. And so if we're doing a greater than or less than comparison with arrays of different lengths, and what test is this? A cert grader. So maybe let's get this working for a cert grader. So and let me think about this. Is there ever a case? I guess there's never a case where, let me go back to my test here. So if we were just kind of line this up by, I don't know if that makes it clearer what's sort of going on. I guess this would be longer array. I guess we're always saying that we can never have an array less than a shorter array. And an array will always be greater than a shorter array, right? Is this what we're saying? I think so. Right, there's no number we can put in here. Like, let's put in PHP int max. Oops. That's yeah. So we're saying array is always greater than a longer array is always greater than a short array, and a short array is always less than a longer array. So if we are in greater, and count of from is greater than count of to, this kind of sets up a so do I pick off from length? And I don't. So I feel like I should pick this off now. From length equals count from to length equals count to. So if from length greater than to length, else I guess I feel like asserting from length has to be equal to to length. So where does... So we don't need this min. Just for now, let's just set this to from. So if from length, or from length. So now we don't... So for I equals, I guess, from length minus 1. I is greater than or equal to length minus I. No, wait a second. This is exactly opposite. Right, a longer array is always greater than a shorter array. So if from length, right, we're saying we failed on a greater comparison. So that means from is less. So this is going to be right. So this is going to basically be the opposite. We are going to I guess copy value so I feel like, let me just think about this. We want to copy from the from length. We want to copy the end until we get to so while from length is greater than or equal to length, we want to just basically copy in back. And then while I guess to length minus, we want to delete, or yeah, we want to delete from length and to length. So we got length might not be defined. Probably not because I never defined it. So what is to length? Now it looks like we have an index error. Oh, because, yes, we want to pass some state diff. So in this case, we can just tack it right onto diff. Now what we've got. 1592. So let me think about this. So let's say we have, right, our case is from is 4, 2 is 2, right? Or exact opposite. From is 2, oh. That's why. Okay, I did this exact opposite. So from is 2, the length of from is 2, and so we want to put two values. We basically want to put from into 2. So while we have a from length, we want to copy that and then also subtract 2 length. And then otherwise we just want to insert, yeah, is that it? So I think we basically got it, but excuse me. So actual was 3, 4, minimum was 1, 2. I guess, wait, what is not, oh. Yes, it is. Especially when you talk on stream a lot. I never thought talking so much would. Maybe it's how I use my voice, but when I get off stream, my throat can definitely tell I've been talking for a while. Yeah, we deleted. Okay, so I think that, yeah, that gets us passing. So we're going to do the same thing here. The same thing here, except in reverse. And I guess I'll just slam this in here, or try to. Oh wow, that's early. And what is it? It's like 3:30 here. So what's the time difference? Like 8 hours? So that's 15 plus 8, was it like 10 o'clock? Or 2200? Maybe I didn't need to do that. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, Bazin. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Okay, yeah, I got it right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, with the 6 a.m. Well, at work at 6 a.m., that's already like 8 hours away. So, yeah, go get some sleep. I don't know if I'm going to stream this weekend. I've kind of been streaming every day, but usually during the weekdays right now. I mean, you follow. It looks like you followed me, so you'll get the notification. But yeah, depending on what I do, as I start to wrap this up, I may put like a poll up to sort of pick my next project. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, come out or come check in and hang out if you have any questions about what I'm doing, like even the stuff with generating a difference algorithm. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, usually I'm trying to get on a better schedule, but yeah, usually it's I try and do about noon from my time, which if we're 8 hours apart, that's I guess like 8 p.m. 2000 your time. And I usually go, I don't know, anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. But yeah, if you see me streaming, come hang out. It was nice chatting with you. And get some sleep and have a good night of sleep. All right, so cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. Goodbye. Shoes, I think is what they say. Is that what they say in Germany? Shoes? Did I get that right? I still remember my high school German. Okay, have a good night. So now what we said, an array is always less than a longer array. That is what we said. So in this case, it's it's um it's the one with the umlaut, right? I can't remember. And like, or no, wait. Okay. And also like the double S that looks like a B, right? Isn't that it? Kind of like a B, like a squiggly B. That's it, yeah. Yep, that's it. All right, so we're in greater. So if from is greater than 2, well, all languages have their weird, right? Like in English, PF is pronounced as F, like for photograph. German, right? In German, photograph begins with an F, right? So, or photo. It's just what you're used to, I guess. What you grow up with, what you learned. Okay, so if from is greater than the length of from is greater than 2, then this is what the problem is. So hello, Sickle. I have not used Xdebug. I looked into it, I think, once. and it seemed like it you had to set up like a server or something. I've used so PHP does ship with a built-in debugger, which I've used a few times, although it's not very friendly to use. But I haven't used. If you're looking for help on how to use Xdebug, I do not know how to use it. That's all right. I guess I get more done when I'm alone, but not that you should come hang out and chat. But anyway, have a good night, Basin. So if from is greater than length, all right, so now I'm going to try and keep a coherent thought here. If the length of from is greater than the length of to, then from is always greater. So then while, right, we're saying this is the exact opposite. So while to length, then we want to copy out we want to do from length and then subtract from length. And then while from length, we want to say, so here's one weird thing. I feel like this is backwards, so I may have to take another look at this. So I say from length, so from length is greater than to length. So that means it's greater than 2. I guess I need to just see what this looks like. There might be different logic with this. Yeah, like Sickle, like I said, I've if you're just looking for a debugger, you might just want to see, because like I said, PHP ships with a debugger, and I think you invoke it just PHP debug with whatever script. It's not very user-friendly to use. I don't like, it's a command line debugger. And I have not used it often enough to be familiar with it, like to be comfortable in it. I just haven't found it very user-friendly, but like it either ships with PHP or I just install. I'm on Linux, so I think I just install it and it runs. But if you're specifically trying to learn how to use Xdebug, I don't have any other than saying to go read some tutorials. Unfortunately I don't have any advice or help I can give you. But if you're just looking to like debug your own code, then you may want to look into PHP debugger and see if you can make better headway with that. And if you're, I don't know if you're on Linux, but if you're kind of familiar with like the new debugger, I think, or the anything like that, I think it's kind of meant to work the same way. So if you have experience in those command line buggers, you might be able to get going with PHP debugger a little bit more quickly. because I feel like Xdebug is kind of meant to test code on a. Again, I haven't looked into it, but I feel like it's meant to test code running on a server. Like it seems like you're supposed to set up like a client server thing, and it just seems super complicated. So I don't know if that was at all helpful, but I guess that's my thoughts on the subject. Yeah, of course. Okay, let me just try and figure this out real quick because I'm kind of drawing to a close on my time. And I kind of want to get to a good stopping point here. Um, so I don't. If anybody is in chat and wants to throw in a question, feel free to do so. I may not get to it for a few minutes. That's just my um, public announcement, I guess, right now. All right. So from so what, I think I deleted my comment up here. So if from is for from length equals 4 and say to length equals 2. So while we have a to length, so 2 will go through here, then we want to put in a value from, and I think that's just a copy. I guess I don't have a test case for this, so this might be just so I can visualize this. Let's create some test cases here instead of okay, that was assert greater. So test assert less. I feel like I should probably put this up here. So this case should actually pass. But this case should fail. I guess just to get this. All right, so we're testing less. So in this case, so actual and what did we have under, what did we have down here? Let's assert less. Right, so we would, I guess we're saying the same thing up here. So this is going to be max, right? Okay, so that is going to be, I guess, delete. So let's just save that code and see what we get. we actually have two. My test case is wrong here. Am I in the right test array greater than short array? 859. And this is an assert less. So why? Oh, because I did not change the actual assertion. That would help. Okay, now we have, what do we have? Okay. This is actually still going to be from length, I believe. Okay, so now what happens if so I guess what I'm wondering about is I don't think we're done here. Or are we? Because are we doing a strict less than comparison? So in this case, just getting rid of these. No, wait. Where? That passed. So yeah, in this case, getting rid of 1, 2 alone doesn't make this test case pass. But there's also, so what's also kind of interesting about this is, right, in my notes, I was saying for greater or less, only one element needs to change. That's only true if the arrays are the same size. But if the arrays are a different size, then right, like in this case, uh, 1 and 2 actually have to go, right? 2 of those values have to go away. Hmm. So the question is does that matter? Right, I'm in less here. Because I guess what we're saying, this should be like that, basically. I suppose I don't have a test case to... Well, unless I wasn't paying attention. Test array less than longer array. Right, down here this fails. So what we're testing assess greater. So actually this is not passing. I guess I feel like this should be the same thing here. But I'm just wondering now if this is actually confusing, because we're saying, okay, two of these values need to go away, but then any one of these other values should need to change. So there's a little bit of an inconsistency there. Well, so now that test will be failing. Both of these tests will be failing. So I guess, oops. Wow, this suddenly exploded into a ginormous function. So so I guess a little bit this condition is the same. So while we have a from length, right, there's a little bit of this going on. Except in that case, right, now we need to do it forward, from the front forward, not from the backwards. Okay. Boy, I kind of hate to leave things this way, but I'm starting to feel a little hungry and having a hard time focusing. So it might be time to knock off. And I've only been going for 2.5 hours, but it's also, I started a little bit later than I wanted to, but well, let me just work through this. Okay, so we're saying we need diff equals array. So I equals 0, I less than from length. Okay, this is then I guess we're going to yeah, so we're trying to do greater than, so we need to delete a value off of 2. So for j equals 0, j less than from length, plus j, and I guess plus I. What happened to this comparison? I thought I grabbed that. Or did I just not paste it? I guess this is this. So 2 is longer, which means 2 is greater. So while 2 is longer than from, we need to delete a value off of the front of 2. Then while we I think at this point, if oh, right, this is this logic I think is going to be reversed. While so if from is so yeah, if from is less than 2, then I think and actually so if from j is less than 2I, then we'll want to delete from j 2I. Also from j equals 2j if I think this might be the same. So from j to I, otherwise from j, otherwise then we want to break. And essentially then this is for blah, j less than from length plus j. We're just going to copy j, I believe. So we have an error. 1590. Yes, to length I. Oh, right, now we need to oh, wait a second. That should have been getting stuck on there. Else now we need to bump this out here, I guess. That might fix it. Nope. So what is I'm doing diff greater. Test assert. This is 607. So I actually got, what did I get? I got 3. That's like totally wrong. It's saying I got, so that I guess makes sense, but I'm not getting, oh, what is this saying? I got, oh, I'm looking at the wrong, test case, I guess. So back up here and assert. So we expected 1, 2, but those aren't even there. And we got 3 again? Is that what that's saying? Yeah, that's totally wrong. Okay. Okay, so this is the case of greater. So for 2, then instead of J, we'll use from. Oops, well, I guess I scrolled up too far here. All right, so no, wait, we don't. Right, so while from length, okay, so this is going to be while to length minus 2 is greater than from length. Right, so if from is 2 and to length is 3, we need to remove 3 things. And expected, yeah, we need to, this should be, we need to, or insert value. This needs to be an insert a value. And then for j equals 0, or we want to call this f now, I guess. So if from this is a greater than, so if from value is less than 2 value, we want to delete from, insert to. Otherwise, if from is equal to 2, and we are in a strictly greater than, then we again want to delete from, insert to. Otherwise, we want to copy from. Also, we're in a situation where from was greater, so everything after that, copy from. What does that give us? 2 failures. So I guess I'm copying the wrong thing. 2. Did I not, suppose it would help if I changed, save my test. So right, this is plus, this is plus. And then because of how things are going here, I guess I still don't. Oh, dude, all right. Ugh. Am I inserting this is going into diff here. All right. That should probably fix that. Just randomly writing to. Now I got a 3 on the front though. Well, that actually fixed nothing. Test greater. I guess we might need to subtract. I guess this is a little bit. I guess that's a little bit janky, but I don't see how that would fix anything. Let me just copy this out, see what I'm getting. So we actually have a 3. And you're expecting a 1, too. Wow, that's not even close. So from length to length. If from length is less than to length, right? This is a greater comparison. Then 2 equals 0. While to length minus t, right, is greater than from length, increase t. And insert into diff if I have to. So how am I not even getting 1 and 2? Right, 2 is doing for actual and count expected equals to length. All right. Let me just see if I'm getting that. For actual equals 2. All right. So inserting inserting what? I am like totally confused here. I'm not gonna lie. For 2 equals 0. How is this? How am I only getting this output once? This is so weird. Okay. Ugh. Voila. I tell you what, oof. I don't put semicolons where I need them, but then I put them in a place that breaks my code. Okay, we don't need this diff. I don't think, right? We're in fact, this whole thing gets bumped out. Just make sure that still works. Or still, so now I just need to fix less. All right. So, so in this case, we want a less. So from equals 0, from length minus from is greater than 2 length, plus from, no semicolon. Then we want to delete the value. Okay, then for 2 equals 0, 2 less than 2 length, or 2 length, plus 2. Right, we want to slap this comparison in here. If from, except we want to swap this now. The from is greater than two. Let's put the right variable in there. Then we want to delete from and insert 2. Otherwise, if from is equal to 2, this is right, we are in a diff less or diff less equal. If this is a diff less situation, then we want to delete from, insert 2, otherwise we can just copy from. Otherwise, break. Right, and this takes us back up to here. So now, for blah, from less than from length, we are going to copy from. Diff from and show key. All right, from length is greater than, so yeah. No, wait a second. We also need to increase from here. So yeah, delta is not a function. Undefined variable 1693. And we have a must be of type array null called 1678. Oh, I guess I need to do this out here. Right? So I think I can, yeah, so we can get rid of that diff. Otherwise, we do this. And what did I, oh, I just, okay, I just, probably dumb to undo that change. Does that fix us? I think it probably does, but because we haven't sorted out formatting, we are broken. Yes. Okay. So that works. And I think with that, I'm probably going to leave things off. I have some other things, like I said, I have some other things going on tonight, and I need to start getting ready for those. So for, yeah, I guess with that, I'll sign off. For those of you watching me, appreciate you hanging around and checking in. And wherever you are, hope you are doing well and taking care of yourself. So I guess the next time I won't see you, but you'll probably see me. So cheers.